Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May we both be protected. May we both be nourished. May our studies be vigorous and effective. May we not mutually dispute or hate any. Om. Let there be peace in us. Let there be peace in our environment. And let there be peace in the forces that act on us. Namo Vaha. Welcome to another live Sangha. Here I am in my backyard. I feel grateful for today. I'd love to know how you are feeling, my dear guest. What can I hold space for today? Right now, the atmosphere is quite calm. The sun is in the sky. Beautiful clouds around. Mostly clear though. The weather is nice. Temperature is good. I hear the birds chirping. On all four sides, I think we have neighbors with children. You might hear them playing, laughing, crying, everything that kids do. Welcome, dear Tori. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Neon and G. Hello, Carlos. And hello to all the viewers watching the recording in the future. Hello, Mr. Haight. I'm feeling quite peaceful in this moment. I had a good shower. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Shauna. Hello, okay. You have a question? First question of the live stream. What was my major in college? Actually, I never declared my major, though I had intended to do a double major in mathematics and physics. Before I even got to the point of declaring my major, I realized that the greatest lessons for me to learn in life took place outside the classroom, and so I dropped out to focus on my health, physical and mental, deepen my connections again with my family, and learn to serve my community and follow my gifts in a different way. What about you? Are any of you in college? Have you declared a major? Clearly the theory of gravity is still working. And how is your educational joy? Educational joy, yes, that's a good question. How is your educational joy going? How is your educational journey going? Welcome, Incognito. Hello, Draven. You just started scrolling and you found us? You're wondering, do I typically have a routine before starting my lives? When I have enough time, ideally I'd love to sit down and meditate and reflect on my intentions for the live stream. Lately I feel like I've been trying to have enough time to just do basic things before the live stream, like make sure that I do my stretching, my Surya Namaskara, Yogasana, a little bit of meditation, feeding myself, taking a shower. So you can call that my routine today. Do you have a morning routine? Hello, Hexafoil. Happy to be here with you on the full moon, dear Lisa. Yes, today is Purnima. It is the full moon, and it's the 15th day of the waxing fortnight in the lunar calendar. And today's Purnima, like most Purnimas, are also dedicated to an additional holiday. A lot of the Vedic or Hindu holidays take place on full moons. And today's full moon is Guru Purnima. It's actually something I wanted to talk to you all about today. Guru Purnima is the full moon dedicated to the Guru. And although I would love to have it in my heart to celebrate such a Purnima dedicated to the Guru in the conventional way, I have to confess that actually I've been really reflecting on what it means to be a Guru, to have a Guru. And last night, some darkness came to light from a community that I looked up to, that I actually used to be a part of, and its central figure, its Guru. I guess there had been a lot of people that were hurt by this person that I looked up to. And that kind of broke my heart a little bit. So I've been reflecting on that, and I never want to make a community where anyone gets taken advantage of. I pray that we learn from the communities around the world where harm is caused, and we seek to understand them so that we can set systems in place in our own so that no one is infallible and everyone has accountability and responsibility, especially myself. And I want to take full accountability and responsibility for our Sangha. And the truth is, it's really common around the world that when we look really highly up to someone as a spiritual figure, sometimes our own necessary boundaries can dissolve, the ones that we need to keep us safe. And so, rather than celebrating Guru Purnima in the conventional sense today, I actually wanted to dedicate this live stream to all the people that were affected by someone that called themselves a guru or were taken advantage of in some spiritual community. More than Guru Purnima, today I want to celebrate Shishya Purnima, full moon in honor of all the students, because when we are learning, it's a vulnerable process of opening our hearts to new experiences, and respecting that side of the relationship, to me, is most important to consider with great care. I also want to celebrate the Guru Tattva, more abstractly, the essence, the principle behind teaching itself, for we can find it in anything. It doesn't have to come in the form of a person. I like to look at Guru Purnima literally. Guru Purnima, Guru full moon. The full moon is my Guru tonight. Often I seek her solace when I need insight on something. I look at the Guru Tattva, the principle of the teacher, in the moon herself, and she is full tonight, and that fullness represents an illumined mind. And through our own self-reflection, may we always develop our agency and autonomy to look within and ask the right questions to keep us inspired and also safe. Those are my intentions for Guru Purnima today. Thank you for joining me on this live stream as we begin. Welcome, Vampire. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Anthony. Thank you, dear Kelly, for blessing our live stream with 25 roses. Om Gurave Namaha. Prem Samarpan. Thank you for your 6 roses. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. And in honor of today, I did want to especially open the floor up to exploring all the things that are important to address in a spiritual community, on a spiritual journey. How can we have healthy boundaries and keep ourselves safe and make sure we develop relationships with each other that respect each other's agency and autonomy? And of course, we're welcome to explore other things today. I just wanted to especially hold space for that. I was reading your message, Zagreb, as I said that. You bet my parents are proud. That is such a kind thing to say. Thank you. I'm very blessed to have parents that do see the good in me and have expressed many times how proud they are of me. And I wish that to be true for everyone. I wish for everyone to feel like they have people in their life that support them, that are proud of them, that allow them to find their path of who they are and be supported in that. That's a privilege that I am so blessed to experience. I pray that I'm able to convey that for you too. Whatever blessings we have, may somehow, by some miracle, let that be shared amongst one another. Hello, Crouton. Hello, Yvonne. Aylin, thank you for the heart me and the Go Popular that you had sent to. Ganapataye Namaha. Thank you to Meme for the rose that you sent to. Namah Shakti Shivaya. Raven, you share that you thank me for speaking out. Though I don't identify as a leader, I make an excellent one. I appreciate the kindness in your words. That's something that I've been reflecting on too, that although it's important not to identify with any label that sets you apart from another person as higher, it's still important that I take responsibility for the community. And what really makes a teacher or a leader is not their identification with the label, but whether they functionally behave within that role. And if people look up to you in that way, then you still have to take responsibility for functioning within that role. So I will always consider myself an eternal student, but that doesn't absolve my ignorance for having influence with the things that I say and share, and allow me to always be held accountable for that with humility. May there always be constructive feedback on my path and my way so I can be more inclusive and more caring. And within our own community, may there always be vulnerability, transparency, and trust for speaking up on anything if ever things go astray. Hello, Spooka. Mr. Hate, you ask, what's the difference between a guru and a yogi? That's a good question. Actually, I'll tell you the etymology of both these words. That's always the first step when learning a Sanskrit term. Yogi comes from the root yud, meaning to bring together, to yoke, cognate with that English word, to unify. A yogi is one who is on the path to unify all the strands of life into a harmonious flow where every part of their journey becomes spiritual. Guru comes from the root, is it grv or gur? Anyway, it's actually cognate with the roots in the English term gravity or gravitas. You have that grv in it. Same with guru. It literally means heavy. It's an adjective referring to something that is heavy. And metaphorically, when we apply it to a person, we're not talking about how much food they've eaten. We're talking about the gravitas of their understanding. Just like there's a certain intensity to a person who's really studied something deeply for years, there's a certain kind of gravity to the way they share things on that subject. So that's literally what a guru is and what a yogi is. In some sense, all gurus are yogis in that whatever you have developed this gravity for understanding and sharing, that has been part of your yoga, your unification. And in another sense, all yogis have the potential to be gurus, because whatever it is that you've learned on your journey of unifying the strands of life together, that's also a story that deserves to be shared with others. Yet that's always a personal choice too, and that comes with comfort, that comes with other people's consent too. The biggest difference between a yogi and a guru is that a yogi is a single person, whereas a guru is a person that also has responsibility to another person, and that is entirely optional. That is entirely a voluntary relationship. A yogi doesn't necessarily have to involve themselves in that way. Hello, dear Heather. Guru-chan, you had asked a relevant question. What do I think about giving people another chance into your life after hurting you? Well, that's absolutely always something that is your choice. No matter how much they want or try to enter back into your life, let the deciding factor come from within yourself. Do you feel like you're ready, you're comfortable for that? And if the answer is no, that's okay. You don't ever have to be. Maybe in another lifetime you can be. Boundaries are indefinite. And there should be boundaries, especially when we're turning to a dynamic where boundaries have been crossed before. There should be clear systems in place for you. Do you have a way, an assurance within yourself, to back out of that dynamic again? Or does it come with some kind of ultimatum? Because no relationship has to be black and white, that either they're out of your life completely or they're in your life completely. You can have safeguards in place to make sure that there's a balance. And if you are still healing, if you are still processing the events of the past, then absolutely take all the time you need to continue your journey of processing and healing. Only if they have shown within themselves that they have gone through a journey of healing. That can take many, many years for them to prove that, for you and also for themselves. And above all, it has to be your choice. I cannot reiterate that enough. It's not about them wanting to come back into your life. It's about you genuinely wanting them back into your life because you've both grown in the space that you've been given from each other in that time. If that's the case, then I wish you both well. Dear Gina, thank you for your rose. Saraswatiyai Namaha. Thank you, Raven, for your heart me that you sent as well. Krum Kalikayai Namaha. Someone with a period for a username. Earthquake, you ask, what do I think about romantic partnership? Well, I have one, personally. Someone that I'm very much monogamously devoted to. And I'm not saying you're implying this or anyone is, but just to be clear, my relationship with everyone in our community is totally platonic. I'm here to be, at the simplest level, someone who is a contemporary on whatever journey you and I are both in. May we respect each other's boundaries, and give each other space. Romantic relationships are deeply beautiful. It goes without saying. They are a source of love, happiness, and inspiration. And for not just each other, but the whole world. I hope that within the love with me and my partner, that we develop a healthy enough relationship that may inspire others to explore what a healthy relationship looks like for them and their potential partner. Not saying me and my partner are perfect in any way. I have a long way to go in learning her needs, and every relationship is so unique. What a healthy relationship looks like for two people may look completely different for two other people. Though there are some universal principles like trust, vulnerability, communication, openness to explore where there's still room to understand each other and be wrong. Making mistakes, learning from them, is a huge part of a relationship. Romance, intimacy, it should be built on a prior foundation of friendship. Rather than feeling like you're either friends or you're more than friends, having something more than friends is still built on friendship. So there needs to still be a platonic love with your partner too. That way, if anything gets too intense, then you still have that simple friendship to fall back on. You still know that you get along as two human beings, two friends in that sense. I feel like that's important. And we can talk more about that too. Dear green-eyed feline, thank you for the heart me that you sent. Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Elidipot, Eli Depot, perhaps you can tell me how to pronounce your name, is a yogi, a philosopher. Absolutely. Yogis come in many shapes and forms, and the name for a yogi as a philosopher is called a jnana yogi. Jnana is the word for knowledge. And a jnana yogi is very much someone that practices and contemplates on the various perspectives of cosmology, their inner world, morality, ethics. In fact, among the 8 limbs of yoga, the first 2 are entirely dedicated to the philosophy of morality and ethics. By some translations, you could say the first limb of yoga, Yama Yoga, is the yoga of morality. And the second limb, Niyama Yoga, is the yoga of ethics. Those are 2 huge fields in philosophy. And the higher limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, especially Dhyana and Dharana Yoga, this is the yoga of contemplation and focus, require training one's mind to expand upon a point, whether that point is something like a flickering flame or a higher truth or perspective. It can get very philosophical. And as I said, the greater practice of studying ancient scriptures, developing your own, and exploring the myriad of truths that this universe has to offer is called Jnana Yoga. Hello, dear creature. Dear Derek, you're wondering, am I high? No, and actually, I will always vow, I make this commitment, that I will never do any live streams or any sort of involvement with this community under any substances. That's a big boundary for me, and it's actually really easy of a boundary to follow because in my personal life, I don't do any substances either. The last time I touched any substance, even a prescription medication, was years ago. It's been several years since I smoked or drank anything, so please be affirmed that when I show up in this space, just as I am 24/7 in my personal life, I am sober. However, if I remind you of someone that is high, well, I got good news for you. There's a way of feeling high just by being yourself. Genuinely. I mean, Look at children. Look in our own childhood. If you compare a child to someone under the influence, their behaviors are very similar. That's because they have this kind of freedom to be themselves. And I promise, you can develop that too, free from any substances. And that is a big part of yoga as well. Our machinery that makes us a biochemical organism is very advanced, and all of the chemicals that engage with this system are chemicals that either are already produced or produced in variants by the system itself. Just as we find a whole class of molecules called cannabinoids in cannabis, for example, you can find a whole class of endocannabinoids, or cannabinoids produced by the body under specific circumstances. There are things that we can do to make this whole system run happily and healthily, blissfully and ecstatically, just from being ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing that I hope to inspire in others. Hello, dear Laura, and thank you for the 18 roses that you had sent. Aum Kamalir Mahakalikaya Namaha. I like the way you put that, dear Kelly. Happy is chemically pleasant. Our bodies do amazing things. A wise person once said that our body is the most incredible chemical factory on the planet. The question is, are you a good manager, product manager of the whole industrial process of your body? Making sure that the whole system is running smoothly as possible. Thank you, Laura, for your trio of roses and the little crown you sent. That's cute. Hum hum jum sa Trambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityurmukshijamamritatam. I love Mila's support for any cat. It always makes me so happy when I see people supporting each other here. Any cat you had shared, it's called being high on life. And you share your wish that you could find that happiness. And Mila responds, you can. It takes time. I love that. And I agree with Mila. Absolutely. It is true for us all, because fundamentally we all work on the same ancient biological principles, part of life. Dear Scarlett, you're wondering, what is this community that I'm in? So, if you're asking about the community that I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, I'm going to keep that anonymous, because really, either you're not in that community, which is good, which means you're already safe from whatever's going on in that community, or you are in that community, and therefore you already know what's going on, and I empower you. There's enough information already shared within that community to make a fair judgment. I trust everyone has that ability. I think it's quite clear for most people that there are certain signs to reflect on when they occur, and when they do, that's one's chance to reflect on whether they stay in that community or move on. And actually, it's been years since I even participated in that community, so I had already moved on in a sense, though I held deep regard for it, because I didn't know some of the other things that were going on in it. If you're talking about this community, our community is called Hridaya Kasha, and it means space of the heart. Akasha means space, and Hridaya means heart. Hridaya Kasha means space of the heart. And it mostly just exists in the form of TikTok lives, and there's a shared hub for the different platforms we do things on my website, and there's a Telegram group chat, and that's it. There's nothing physical, and it's also not a community that requires any sort of committance. It's very much just a digital space for people to come and go and share perspectives, and everyone is welcome. All perspectives, all traditions. It's a type of sangha, and sangha is this ancient Sanskrit word that just means a gathering. And it can be as simple as that, just a gathering. You're welcome to gather, and you're welcome to go wherever your heart desires. This will be interesting. Dear Nibu, you asked for me to tell you everything about this pendant. Then you will tell me something. This is a gift from my mother. It's a pendant of Ganesha. Ganesha comes from the Sanskrit root or stem Gana, which means a group or a class of beings. Specifically, it refers to a class of pretty weird beings, actually. They're like the outcasts. They're the strange creatures of this universe. And Isha means the caretaker of. So Ganesha is the caretaker of strange beings. That's the literal meaning of Ganesha's name. I'm not sure if many people know that. And Ganesha himself is a strange being. He got a head of an elephant. They all got strange, bodies of different animal combinations. Those are the Ganas. And Ganesha is the central figure of the Ganas. Also known as Ganapati, which essentially means the same thing, or Ganeshwara. Ganesha is generally revered for being a symbol of one who removes obstacles, who paves the way for you to use your intellect towards whatever it is that's on your journey. So it's a symbol of beginnings, it's a symbol of having the way be free for you. Mr. Hate, you're wondering, do I speak Hindi? No, I don't speak any Hindi, though I do know more of the ancient language that Hindi comes from, and that is Sanskrit. Sanskrit is to Hindi what Latin is to French or Spanish or Italian. It's the modern evolution of a very ancient language. Kelly, you share that you love Ganesha. And I love that you use the sticker. I should really update those stickers. You sleep with lots of pillows and a stuffed elephant you named Ganesha. I like that. Faithful being, you heard Shiva's crew were a bunch of strange creatures. Radhe, Radhe to you, dear faithful being. Absolutely, yeah. There's a certain posse that follows Shiva around, and those are the Ganas. And of the Ganas, the head of the Ganas is Ganesha, which is Shiva's own son. You could also just as equivalently say that it is Shakti's own son too. Nubu, you shared that this pendant was gifted to you ages ago by a very old lady, and you had lots of problems. You wore it once, and your problems disappeared in less than a week. Not kidding. Oh, what provenance! Thank you for sharing that, Nibu. I always remember that story. That's beautiful. So you have the same one? Or maybe I have somehow inherited it. Interesting. That old lady. She must have been very spiritually connected with you somehow. Faithful being, you have a personal question. What do you do when you're feeling unwell in the moment from chronic conditions? I remember that most chronic conditions have a lot to do with how the body is in balance with itself. Whereas other diseases might be something very obvious, like a specific organ having a deficiency or fighting off a foreign pathogen. Generally, chronic conditions are something that affect a whole assortment of different parts of our body. And Western science is not really good in its allopathic model of dealing with chronic conditions. It's really good at dealing with emergency situations. But we need to switch to a different model when dealing with something that affects the whole body for a long period of time. Generally, that's where we move towards systems like traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or Siddha. And I'd encourage you to do your research and find trusted professionals that may be able to help you with your chronic conditions. There's a lot of people that have found success in finding remedies for their chronic conditions outside the traditional Western model of healthcare. And a lot of those other traditions, they focus on holistic health rather than some specific herb or process that will cure you all in one go. It's more about general ways of changing your life so that you bring a sense of balance and harmony back to your body. That's where we develop healthy routines. That's where we develop perspectives about ourselves, because in a lot of ancient schools of medicine, what was happening in the mind first is what is the precursor to what happens to our body. So developing a connection, a mind-body connection in that way, where we really take into consideration what kind of thoughts we're holding, what kind of energy we're attaching to in our nervous system, that can make a huge difference. And even in the West, we recognize this too. We are seeing how huge of a factor things like placebo are, or the nocebo effect, or how stress is a factor. And all of those things are psychological factors to health too. So when our body seems to be out of balance with itself, especially if it's something on the autoimmune spectrum, then it has a lot to do with self-love. How you take care of yourself day to day, how you even treat yourself and consider yourself day to day. A huge portion of health is based in self-love. So much love to you. What's something that you can do today out of love for yourself that's still within your boundaries, your comfort level? Hello, Noah. Hello, Strawberry Fields. I am happy. How are you feeling? Thank you, Saffron. Teddy, you ask, who is a good guru to seek? The way I look at your question, I think the seeking is the guru. The very part of you that's good at asking questions and looking for answers, that is the Guru Tattva within you. In this age, it's very difficult to find assurance in an external form, another human being. And hence, I say all these words simply from my own experience. And what works for me may be totally different from what works for you. Only if you feel a kind of connection that we're on a similar path in that regard do my words carry weight for another person's. Otherwise, having our own discernment, trusting in ourselves, that is so much of the journey. Really, when we allow ourselves to be wrong and continuously look for insight in everything around us, then we can find the Guru Tattva, the principle of teaching, in everything, just because we decided to look for it. Whether it be a snail, or the moon, or a tree, or a parent, or a friend. The Guru doesn't need to appear in any particular person. And even if it did, it doesn't have to be something that you dedicate wholeheartedly to for the rest of your life, like it's an all or nothing deal. If you sit for a moment with someone, a friend, even a stranger, and they share some insight for you in that moment, then you can take that to heart. And if ever your path takes you elsewhere, then that's something within your right too. It can be a free-flowing kind of path. Joe Bio? Or is that Joe Blow? Joe Blow. You share your wife likes the Guru Granth Sahib. That's a lovely Guru. That is a spiritual text called the Guru, established by the 10 Gurus of Sikhi. I actually really like that idea, that the final Guru in the lineage of Sikhi was just putting everything down in something that's separate from a physical person, that you can then go and take inspiration from yourself or with the help of someone that understands the text and can convey its meaning to you in a way that's helpful to you too. Thank you, Angel. And thank you for being you too. Dear Holmes, you ask, do I do my own housework and washing? I try my best, although everyone in the household certainly sometimes picks up when another person is being challenged by something else. I often come into the kitchen after I've left a mess and someone else has cleaned it up for me, and wow, may I never take that for granted. And other times I come into the kitchen and someone has made a mess for me, and it's my privilege to be able to live in a household with people I love, so I do my best to clean up after them whenever I can too. And it's an important question. And the reason it's important is because if, for example, we see someone on the internet that conveys themselves in a way where things feel peaceful. I like to believe that we have a peaceful space here. We have to ask the question, is that because their needs are being taken care of by others? And then what would be the fairness in wishing to inspire that peace for people that have responsibilities that they don't have, right? And that's a great question to ask, because we can look at all sorts of traditions in the world where, like monasteries and monks, for example, where they've, on the surface, renounced the world, yet they've also renounced having to cook for themselves, because, for example, many traditions only eat what they can get from others. And I understand the tradition and where that comes from. Renouncing attachment to food is a huge vow. Yet it also means that whenever you see a Buddhist monk, for example, that's been successful in the traditional route of begging for all the food that they eat. It means that all the nourishment that they got from someone that took care of them externally. And so that's something in their life that they didn't have to worry about. And there's a balance in all things. I think it's important that we do find spiritual practices that work universally, where we're not trying to escape our responsibilities from this world and find peace where everyone else has to fill in the gaps for us. We are, just as Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, we are karma yogis. We are yogis in action, in karma, in everything we do. May we find a certain spirituality behind it. Like when we're washing dishes, like when we're making food, like when we are taking care of the people around us. Let that be our spiritual practice. Let us find peace, let us find salvation in the good work that we do. Saffron and Silk, you share. It's nice when everyone takes care of each other. That's what communities are for, ultimately. We are not all here to be hyper-independent people, but we are all here to find support and reliance in one another so we don't all have to carry our burdens alone. Such a community, whether it's within a household or on a larger scale, should always be done with open communication for people's needs and their own unique abilities. And if ever things get imbalanced, we should always speak up for those who have taken on a bigger load than they are able to handle and help take the weight off their backs. Old 89, you ask, what does Radhe Radhe mean? It's a good question. So, Radha, this is the underlying word, she is a goddess. It is a name for the goddess in her all-loving, all-bliss-giving, beautiful form. She's very pleasant. She's very sweet. She's considered a devotee herself. She is in love with the world. She is someone with a big, giving heart. So this is the form of the goddess in her all-merciful, all-loving, benevolent form. Sweetness. She does not even desire to have her own partner. She's often paired with Krishna, yet Radha and Krishna are not lovers in the ordinary sense. They are each other's devotee, and they do not have even an intimate relationship. Their intimacy is found in their belief in each other, serving a greater purpose. So that's a very beautiful thing, very beautiful form of the goddess. So in Sanskrit, there's many different ways that we can change the sound of a word to have it serve a different purpose in the sentence. In English, almost in all cases, the word remains the same, but if it serves a different purpose in the sentence, then we have a preposition before it. That's called a grammatical case. And we're so used to the idea that prepositions serve this purpose in English that we don't realize other languages have different systems for it. So Radhe is a different grammatical case of Radha. It's called the vocative case. And that's the usage in a sentence when we're calling out to something. In English, the preposition would be O. So, O Radha, O Radha, O goddess, O goddess. We're calling out to her. In Sanskrit, that would be Radhe, Radhe. So, it's often used as a greeting. We call out to the goddess when we greet someone for blessings. We want them to be blessed in our company by a source of love, a source of bliss, happiness. Radhe, Radhe. Good evening, Ray. Mr. Haight, you had asked, if everything comes from the same source, where does evil come from? And thank you, dear Apostolos, for the heart me that you sent. Bhuvaswah tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi deyo yo na prachodayat. That's a good question. Let's break down this question very carefully, shall we? If everything comes from the same source, where does evil come from? If everything comes from the same source, then you and I are part of the same being. So, if in some way I cause harm to you, then I'm just causing harm to ourself, to myself. That means, naturally, whatever it is that we call as evil, it's part of the universe having the agency to make mistakes and learn from how it treats itself. When we're zoomed into our separate identities, it seems like one separate being is causing harm to another separate being. But really, we're all part of Mother Earth. Whatever these creatures of Mother Earth that we are do to each other, we're just doing unto ourselves. So we're sorting out our differences in wrong ways. And what are the right ways? Well, that's what we're learning. We live in and as a universe where we have agency. As parts of the source, we all represent a different part of that source. Same source, different parts. And so we have differences to reconcile. How is it that I am going to see the same self in you that I feel in me? Because you and I are different, and also one, it becomes a challenge of learning to understand that. We don't automatically have all the answers to everything, because the universe is learning about itself. So what we call as evil is really something that is probably better called by something else. It's poor decisions repeatedly made in a very slow process of learning to make different choices. Some people, some parts of the source, they got a longer journey than others. Just in this part of the cycle of creation that we find ourselves in on Earth. When we hear about the tragedies that happen around the world, of course, it's deeply heartbreaking because those are parts of ourself being hurt by other parts of ourself. And how long will it take for us all to realize that? That's a journey that probably will go on forever, because whatever level of understanding we reach in our society, we are then met with the next level of challenges. That's an infinite journey. And so there will always be good, and there will always be something that challenges that goodness. And I hope that's an inspiring thing for all of us, because it's not that we're born in this world to suffer. We're born in this world to experience suffering so that we get to choose differently. We witness the acts of those around us and even in our own past, and we are given the agency to reflect on them and do better. And that's a choice. And we have the freedom to make that choice. And if we didn't have that freedom to make that choice, then there would be no learning journey. There would be no evolution. And since this universe is here to evolve, we are here to make choices, even if it can cause harm. Ideally, we all make choices carefully and slowly so that our mistakes compound very minimally and that we can learn from them in a ways that we can mitigate the amount of harm that we cause. And that is my wish. Let us all be like a gentle breeze through life, so that whatever we do, we try to minimize the harm that we cause. We can never be absolutely perfect in our actions. We are going to end up accidentally stepping on a bug here or there, or misunderstanding someone and making a choice that affects them in some way. But at least we can do so with as much thought and understanding as we can. And that means going slow, being patient, being present, really observing our own behaviors and others' needs. Lots and lots of forgiveness. Thank you, dear Mitchell, for your rose. Hanumate Namaha. Hello, Emiliana. You are watching me from the Philippines. It's so lovely we have such an international audience today. I'd love to know where everyone's from. I'm from Canada. You're from the Philippines. I imagine we have people here from the US, from the UK. How lovely. Many different states like Texas, Ohio. Amanda, you're from another place in Ontario, or in Canada, in Ontario. England, Norway. Oh, how lovely. Suriname, Nebraska. How lovely. What a blessing it is that we are all on different parts of this world, yet sharing this moment together. We may be very physically apart in space, but we are very close together in time. From Austria. And thank you, Teresa, for the love you so much. Yogeshwaraya Namaha. Hello, honey bunny. Happy to be back live streaming. Nutty Nat, you sure you're struggling with sleeping at the moment? I find the moment I give up trying to sleep, that's the moment sleepiness starts to kick in. It's this horrible paradox. The more I try hard to sleep, the less easy it is for sleep to come. Something that often helps me when I'm in that place is to remember that the daytime is for structure. Generally, it is for doing something, refining something, creating some order in our life in some way, practicing some routine, some rhythm. And the nighttime, she is for dissolving such structures. Night is for letting our mind be whatever formless shape it wants to be. Letting our body and muscles and nervous system just rebound from whatever form we tried to hold it in today. Letting emotions come. Nothing has to be perfect in sleep. Sometimes I think that what will help me fall asleep is laying in a certain way, having the fan on me, having darkness in my room, breathing in a certain rhythm, chanting a mantra in my mind. But then I realize if I'm so rigid about everything around me, then I'm still operating like I was while I was awake all day. And so my nervous system still thinks that it's the day rather than the night. So as soon as I catch myself in that act, I try not to try to breathe perfectly in some rhythm. I don't try to focus on being perfect and chanting the mantra in my mind. And if the fan is pointed perfectly at me or not, whatever. And I can let my body move around. If there's a light on in my room that I can't quite figure out how to turn off, fine. Just letting things be a little messy. That helps me fall asleep. Sauce, you share a great strategy. Try humming softly to yourself. Soothes the nervous system and tells your body you're safe. I find that to be helpful too sometimes. Dear Macaroni, you share one day your posture will be as good as mine. Thank you. You know, honestly, it's only been like the last few weeks that I've just been practicing, trying to be conscious of my posture all day. It's getting easier and easier. One of the best things that I learned about posture, and first of all, we should say, like, why is it important to have good posture? Because your posture informs everything from your body to your nervous system of how to be. The way someone curls inward when they're scared is one of the only ways that the nervous system knows from the body's configuration that there's something to protect yourself from. And if we're always in the state hunched over, subconsciously protecting our vital organs, then our nervous system gradually becomes sensitive to fear and panic. Having our chest out, shoulders back, spine straight, head up, breathing comfortably, relaxing one's muscles as much as one can, that informs your body you're safe. It gives a sense of courage to your system, that whatever happens, we'll be present for it. So that's a great grounding practice, having good posture. And I have had terrible posture my whole life. Ever since I was a kid, I was always slouched over, and that's probably why, for years and years, my anxiety slowly got more and more intense. It's one of those feedback loops. And I do notice now that in the last few weeks, at first it was much more difficult to try to have the right posture all day. But if you can do it a few days in a row, the next few days after that already become easier because you develop the muscle memory, your muscles get stronger, and as much as possible, you got to breathe into the posture as though it's your natural state. That's because it's so related to our nervous system. If our natural state is like this, then the moment we let go of consciously trying to have good posture, we return back to this. We want our natural state to be like this. We don't want this to feel difficult. We want it to feel easy. So you invite that intention into the posture. This is easy. This is my natural state. This is how I am when I'm relaxed, right? Our fascia and everything, it has a muscle memory to it. It stores trauma. Being able to invite something new into our musculoskeletal system, that this is the way to be here now. It's deeply healing. All these little practices compound together. Mr. Haight, you had asked, would I forgive someone who has done something truly unforgivable? Well, you're kind of asking an impossible question, literally speaking. How can you forgive someone who's done something truly unforgivable? There's already a logical paradox, if we're just interpreting the question literally. I'll answer your question, though. First, let me thank Giuliano for your heartmeet. Shailaputriya namaha. Mitchell, thank you for the ice cream cone that you sent too. Brahmacharya namaha. Thank you, Fox Forever, for the freestyle. Chandraghantaya namaha. And the gentle fawn, thank you for the rose. Kushmandaya namaha. Thank you, Soma. for your heart me. Om Som Somaya Namaha. There's an example of forgiveness. Sin, you ask, if you told someone that I was only the second best creator, would I forgive you? Of course. Everyone's trying to be the best in something. I'm not trying to be the best creator. The very fact that I made it to near the top of someone's list is a huge honor. And I hope that there are people that are better than me in things that appeal to you, because they might appeal to me also, and therefore there's people in the world that I get to look up to also, and we have choices. That's a beautiful thing. You know, it'd be a lot of pressure to be the best in something. I don't want to be the best, I just want to be a little better every day. But on the subject of forgiveness, back to Mr. Heath's question, there are some really dark things in this world. Many of us aren't children anymore when it comes to understanding that there are systems of deep suffering that take place around this world. And just getting a glimpse of some of them, even without being directly affected, can be traumatizing. That's how horrible they are. Not even experiencing it yourself, just being empathetic to a glimpse of it can send your whole nervous system into distress also. And when we hear that a lot of the systems of suffering are perpetuated by the choices of sometimes one or a few individuals, that we can trace back a lot of the harm to the ways that a very small number of people are behaving, it makes one question, what is wrong with some of these people? What really makes them different? Can we ever forgive people that are responsible for such enormous amounts of suffering? Or even within our own life, maybe we've experienced someone that has deeply traumatized us in some way. And maybe this is a trigger warning for some people. I won't go into any examples, but just in general, we might know of something like that happened to us in some way. Can we ever find forgiveness? Well, before we answer that question, what is forgiveness? Because what that word means for you might be very different from what it means for me. And then we can explore if even it's worth forgiving. For me, forgiveness is not forgetting. I don't like the phrase, forgive and forget. We should never forget. We should always remember. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we act as though nothing ever happened. And maybe that already helps some people understand that it's a lot easier to forgive, because we're not asking anyone to ignore harm. Forgiveness was never about hiding what happened. It's bringing it to the light and finding some way to move forward. Forgiveness is all about you, all about letting yourself be free of the emotions that have stayed with you since that incident, or since you learned of that incident. And the question becomes, why would we want to be free of those emotions if they help inform us of how to be empathetic to other people? And if we look at it like that, then yeah, we should allow those feelings into our life. To hold space for them is important. But there comes a point where holding on to the feelings in a certain way where we never open ourselves up to something new again or something better, that begins to become a problem within our own life. then in a small but real way, we are perpetuating the harm caused by others within our own nervous system, because we're letting what they've done break down our ability to build ourselves up in a better way, where we can become the version of ourself that is needed for a world where that harm exists in. Or to put it even simpler, we have to free space up to develop the peace that this world needs from us, because it's the lack of peace where we see all these conflicts arise from people that are in a place of inner suffering. Because no one that's happy within intentionally causes harm to others. Of course, there's plenty of mistakes we can make. We could be happy in our day and joyful and jumping around, and we move our arm and we accidentally knock a vase over, and a shard might fall into the floor and scrape the foot of someone you love or whatever. But that's an honest mistake. It didn't come from some system that you wanted to perpetuate out of anger that you projected onto your friend. That was a happenstance. We're talking about the people that are deeply ill within. They carry within them a kind of pain, a kind of suffering that they don't know how to heal from. And so, not knowing how to heal from it, they bring others down to their level, because at least they're not alone. If I can make you feel as much pain as I'm in, then I feel better, because then I'm not alone. That's the system of mentality that a lot of people are operating in. And if we really understand it so, then we can forgive them, because they don't mean to be in a place where they're suffering either. But that doesn't mean we absolve them of accountability either. Not at all. They absolutely need to take accountability. And whether they will or not depends on the systems in place to actually provide them with a better path forward. Because the truth is, many of those people that are responsible for systems of institutional harm, what support do they have to heal from what's inside their hearts that's hurting so much that they spread that hurt onto others so deeply? Really, they're so isolated. They don't have anyone around them that has the authority to tell them that they're doing something wrong. Nor do they have a safe space within their own personal life to really reflect on their own actions. Now, that is something that, if they were open to, could change. But they have to be open to it. And how is that going to happen if there aren't people in their life that they are open to with some kind of connection to them, to their heart again? And it's their choice whether they welcome anyone in their life to have that connection where they can be honest. And that means that in such cases, then we do have to find an alternative. If this individual is so deeply in pain in their journey, and it seems like there is not going to be any support for them because they isolate themselves, they make the choices to make sure they're always in an echo chamber of their own vices, then we have to switch gears. At some point, if we've exhausted all options, then we do go, all right, maybe this is where this person is stuck in this life. By some miracle, perhaps something can change. And whenever by natural means they transition to their next life, we wish them well, we wish them healing, because the soul in all of us is pure. We know this because there is only one soul, the same soul that we all share. And so when we switch gears, if we've exhausted all options, because ultimately it's their choice whether they choose to heal, then we focus on taking care of the victims. Obviously, that should always be prioritized, but in this case, that we 100% focus on that if there isn't a single percent chance that the people themselves are going to change in this lifetime. So individuals, and we do so not through validating their antagonism towards them, because healing isn't about saying, yeah, that person was horrible to you, and therefore we should spend the rest of our lives angry together. It's about showing a new way forward that's free from all of that. Again, never about forgetting, not about hiding what happened. But if there are systems that we cannot change right now, then at least let's focus on creating other systems away from that, of bringing these people into a better life. And that's important, because we all deserve to move on from the things that hold us back. We empathize with their pain. We inform them, absolutely, something better is possible, and you deserved better. Yet, rather than focusing on the pain, we focus on the solution, the healing, and the processing, so that we can move forward to something new. That was a bit of a long-winded exploration. I hope that makes sense, and I'm happy to clarify certain things. And as always, these are just my perspectives. I find it so helpful for me because in previous parts of my journey, I used to have a lot of anger towards the world, certain people in the world, even certain people in my life. But at some point I realized that I spent so much energy focusing on anger, focusing on my pain, focusing on what was wrong with the world, that I didn't spend enough time focusing on my love, on focusing on what is right in this world, focusing on what I can do better to heal. And ever since that, I've tried to make those changes in my life. I see that so much of myself has opened up and my life has gotten better in many ways. And I wish that same for you too. Thank you, it's all Legos, for the sea of love. Katyayanyay namaha. And thank you, Greggy the Jam Man, for your nonet of Go Populars and a heart me. Om Kali Maha Kali Kali Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kari Devi Narayani Namostute. Thank you, it's all Legos, for I love you so much. The 5 of them, the 5 you're awesomes, and another Rosa. Kalaratriyay namaha. And Mitchell, thank you for your pair of roses. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jade, for your love you so much. Hare Rama. Thank you, Obi Matrix, for your heart me and Go Popular. Mahagauriyay namaha. It's good to see you again, dear. It's all Legos. Crossfires, you share that hearing, you didn't deserve that. You think it's hard for those people. Absolutely. And the point is not to antagonize the oppressor. The point is to validate the oppressed, that it wasn't your fault. Because so many people who are victims of abuse internalize the idea that they were wrong, that there was something wrong in them, because that's what had been projected from the people that hurt them. And they internalize the feeling that they are getting hurt because there's something in them that doesn't deserve to feel better. And that's what we need to validate, that absolutely you deserved to be treated better, because we all do. It is a human right. It is a right of being a part of life, whether a human or any other form, that you deserve the best chance of life as possible. And that always comes with kindness, patience, and understanding, and trust. Yeah, Jesse, no conditions needed to be met. You just deserve to be treated better. It's hard to feel like we deserve it, because we do live in a world where it seems like we have to earn everything. If we really think about how crazy it is that we have to earn our food, that we have to earn shelter over our head, that we have to earn clothes on our back, what are we doing? These are things that we should freely work to provide for each other. And the same goes for even simpler kindnesses that we can do for each other. Because the whole world benefits, not just from ourselves. And when we are taken care of, we naturally want to take care of others too. Thank you, Xander, for your hand heart. Siddhidatriyay Namaha. Hello, Shannon. Hello, Witch of Salt Lake. Thank you for the love you so much. Grateful to be present with you all. Dum Durgaya Namaha. Please let me know if ever there is a way that I can be a more humble and inclusive host for you all, as I'm always learning myself. I love what you share, dear It's All Legos, that each one of us deserves love no less than any human or any other being to ever live. I'm so grateful to have found a community of people that see the truth in those ideas. Sharing values like that are the first and foremost essentials in order to getting along, developing, growing upon them to make something better, like this world. We underestimate the power of finding common ground, because it is within common ground that we find our shared self, the being that comprises not two people, but one soul, expressing itself through two people. It's good to move the body. Let's bring things to another level, shall we? Literally, want to stretch my legs. I'm gonna hydrate as well. Thanks for being a part of the kind souls together here, dear Popsinka. Some people on the internet say the weirdest things. May this be a community where boundaries are always set. If ever anyone crosses a boundary, may we always reserve the right to block them, to separate ourselves from that space, to walk away. Or let us feel empowered what it is that some of us feel compelled to express themselves as. It's interesting how through the anonymity of the internet that somehow we lose ourselves a little bit. We feel more comfortable sharing some of the darker sides of ourselves that have yet to be illuminated by the light. In many ways, the internet is an expression of our subconscious. And clearly there's a lot in our subconscious that needs to heal. Needless to say, may we all develop healthy platonic connections to each other here. With some obvious exceptions, most people on the internet don't show up to simply be someone for others to feel like they're attracted to and want to experience some kind of intimacy with. I hope my boundaries are clear with that. I'm here only to be someone with a general sense of love, a love that respects each other's space and autonomy. I'm very grateful to have the partner that I have in my life that fulfills that for me. Thank you, LJ, for the heart me that you sent. Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Thank you, Linda Lo, for your rose. Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Yes. My partner is in chat with us today, my beloved D to Infinity. Thank you for being here. Madeline, you point out the sadness that is a baby often experiencing overwhelming love and acceptance, but it dwindles and becomes conditional over time. That's true, right? We love and accept a baby for everything they are, and then as they get a little older, it's like, well, I love most of you. And then they become a little older, and it's like, well, I love some of you. And then they get even older, and you find just the average person across the street. It's like, do I love this person? I don't know. They're just kind of a random person. But we're all babies grown up, right? So whatever was entirely lovable about us at the beginning is surely there in all of us as we get older, too. Treat everyone like a baby. Although that might sound like infantilizing, actually, I think to be compared to a baby is a good thing. Because a baby is a very pure expression of spirit. Their worldview has yet to be tainted by the forces of people around them that are still healing in themselves. That's why I always find it funny whenever there's a troll on the live stream that says, what do you know? You're just a kid. I go, yeah, I hope to always be a kid. I hope you are too. It's us adults in the world that have lost what is so naturally accessible to a child. I understand where they're coming from, though. Because when we see peace, when we see happiness, and when we see that getting expressed as a goal, it challenges our idea when we feel like we've had a hard life, because we want to be recognized for how difficult it is to find that peace and happiness when, as we get older, more and more experiences compile, and a lot of that suffering makes it damn near impossible sometimes to feel like we can be happy, we can feel peaceful again. Especially if we see someone who is portrayed as a younger person speaking about love and happiness and kindness. Like, what do they have to know about what it's like to experience drama and suffering and extremely damaging events that take place, usually over periods of their life as they get older? I do empathize with that. I do hope to share that, much like you, we all have our fair share of trauma, and we don't need to compare our trauma as more defining of who we are or not. I'm very grateful to have been privileged and blessed by so many things in life. I wish whatever privileges and blessings I have, that somehow I ask the universe to give them to people. So we all know what it's like to have as much possibility in their life that I feel so grateful to have in my own. And of the traumas that I have experienced in life, I won't go into them here, but they haven't taken me away from my true self. Nor do your traumas take you away from your true self. You, deep down, are just as whole and perfect as you always were. Sometimes it's difficult to see that. And in different periods of our life, it may be more challenging to see that. But the truth remains that you are a good person. You are loving. You are kind. You are smart. You are enough. You are meant to be here. And you deserve to find that peace and happiness within yourself, to trust yourself, no matter how much hardship we experience in life. May we always find a way through that, because this too shall pass. What can be done can be undone, and love is a greater force than hate. Thank you, the gentle fawn, for the heart me had sent. Mitraya Namaha. Thank you, Anna, for your trio of roses. Ravaye Namaha. Thanks for being here, Les. Thank you, Linda Lou, for the rosa you sent. Suryaya Namaha. Blue Kixer, happy to have you here again too. Thank you for your heart meme. Bhanave Namaha. Thank you, Linda Lou, for your finger heart and rose you sent earlier. Khagaya Namaha. And thank you, Mitchell, for your trio of roses. Pushne Namaha. Thanks for being here as well, Sauce. Mr. Hate, you sure? Mr. Love isn't a cool name. Are you sure about that? How many people here would find Mr. Love a cool name? Thank you, Prem Samarpan, for your 6 roses. Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha. Fox Forever, you like Dr. Love better. That's a cool one too. Or McLovin. It's beautiful, Jesse. You had shared. There's a lesson in everything. Your son has taught you what unconditional love really is. I think that is such a significant part of being a parent. To be able to see one's own inner child reflected back at you in many more ways than one. Parenthood is a beautiful way of accessing the very things that maybe we have forgotten through our childhood, because you learn to see the world through their eyes again. Salutations to all the mothers, the fathers here. Thank you, Mitchell, for another rose. Marichaye Namaha. Really is, shares Jesse. He has non-verbal autism, and you have ADHD, and you've seen through him that you weren't hard to love. I love that, and that's proof that communication happens in many ways, more than just through words, right? It's all Legos. You share that you're grateful to say you've been able. Oh, hello, hummingbird. How's the water? Is it better? The hummingbirds weren't eating from the feeder because I don't think it had enough sugar in it. They're like, what is this? Is this diet water? Diet sugar water? Mm-hmm. Or is it? Yeah. Hopefully the sugar water is good now. It's all Legos. You're grateful to say you've been able to experience a deep, committed, mutually selfless love in a romantic relationship. I am so happy to hear that for you. You are living proof that it is possible then. Gail, you had asked, does everything really happen for a reason? Well, if that's true, it doesn't mean it's always necessarily for the best reason. I'll give you an example of something in my past that I'm not particularly proud of. I had a very long journey of becoming compassionate and empathetic. That's why if anyone ever asks, have you always been this peaceful? I say, hell no. That's something I've had to learn the hard way. When I was in grade 1, I lacked very basic empathy in many ways. Or I did have that empathy, I just forgot to apply it to common experiences. For example, I once sharpened my pencil to a very sharp point, and my intrusive thought was to see how sharp it was. I'd jab it into the classmate next to me. Looking back at it, I thought, oh my god, young Yam was a menace. Why did I do such a thing? Well, I had a reason, because it was sharp. And is that a good reason? No. It is a very bad reason that just because your pencil is sharp doesn't mean you get to prove it by stabbing people. Fortunately, the kid was okay. I was called into the principal's office, and I remember my principal asking me, like, why did you do it? And I said, because my pencil was sharp. And my principal was dumbfounded. They're like, why would that be a good reason? And I thought about it, and I thought, I don't know. You're right, I shouldn't do that. I was a little slow in learning basic lessons like that, so I'm proud to say I've come a long way since then. Now when I have a really sharpened pencil, I just use it. I see how fine the line is on the paper. That suffices. So yeah, does everything happen for a reason? Well, we all make choices. Doesn't mean we're using the best form of reasoning. We're all part of life. And life is an intelligent process. Life is also an evolving and learning process. And there are many mistakes that are made in life. Maybe even the universe has its reasons for putting you in funny situations, and maybe even the universe sometimes needs better reasons, but they're there. And the point is that we learn which reasons are good reasons, and by proxy, what can be better reasons. Which of Salt Lake you share? You got stabbed in the leg with a pencil in 4th grade because you told Jeremy that Santa wasn't real. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry that happened to you. Oh. Clearly Jeremy was very attached to the idea of Santa being real. I think as most kids are. Whether that was warranted? No, I don't think that we should express to others that we're uncomfortable with their words by hurting them in return. That's Jeremy's lesson to learn. Hopefully Jeremy has learned that lesson, like myself. But there's a fellow yam in that story too. No mistakes, only lessons. As Bob Ross would say. Happy little accidents. Although when that accident turns to stabbing people with pencils, I think maybe we can reflect a little more deeply on it. Free childhood tattoo. There's the bright side. Mr. Love, hey! Someone changed their name. Woohoo! Oh, that's good. I love that. Mr. Love. Now that is a cool username. Are our choices truly ours, or were they already decided? Now that is a beautiful question. There's actually a very explicit answer when we learn about the philosophy of karma yoga. However, to preface karma yoga, we have to really understand what the word karma means, because it literally just means action. It doesn't mean the consequence of an action. It doesn't mean specific types of action. It doesn't mean specific types of cause and effects. Literally, the Sanskrit term karma just means an action. So doing this, that was an example of a karma. Breathing, that's a type of karma. An action. An action means something changed. This is a dynamic process. That's a karma. So karma yoga is understanding how to find unification and to bring together yoga, our actions, our karma. Lauren, you sure you can't tell if I'm Buddhist or Hindi? Do I have to fall into any category? There are three types of karma, and knowing the difference between these three really makes it obvious to me the answer to the question of whether we have free will in our choices or not. There's the karma, the actions that have taken place in the past. That's the sanchita karma. And we are a product of a portion of the sanchita karma. Because there were a series of actions made by your parents and by everything in the world that led to your birth. So the portion that led to your birth, the portion of all that karma that led to your birth, that's called your prarabdha karma. And it's a portion of the sanchita karma. Not everything in this universe was strictly necessary for you to come into this world. Your birth is of a finite amount of energy. You have a finite amount of atoms in your body, a finite amount of thoughts. Now, we're always adding to that, though. So in that sense, there's an endless aspect of karma, and that's the third type. That's the kriyamana karma. That's then what we create for ourselves. And the idea is that as we progress through life, we rely less and less on the prarabdha karma, what was decided for us by birth, and more on kriyamana karma, what is decided by ourselves. So a very simple way of looking at that is, are we behaving in a way just in accordance with what's come before? Because then we're not really exercising free will. And we don't have to, right? Like, if it's worked thus far, we're allowed to continue to make the same choices. But in that sense, we're not really exercising free will. We just see what's worked thus far, and we're continuing to go along with that. We're continuing to allow our prarabdha karma to influence our world through us. And that's fine, because there's absolutely times and places to just be the person that has been decided for you up to this point, because it continues to work for you. But we also have the kriyamana karma. And the kriyamana karma comes in play when we observe that the way things haven't been working all that well. And it's time for something new. It's time to innovate. It's time to take things in a new direction. Be spontaneous. And it's very difficult to separate our prarabdha karma from our kriyamana karma. There's always some amount of influence. We can get closer and closer, however. And that comes from being more and more presently minded on what's to come next, rather than being attached to the way things were in the past, focusing on what's come before. We ask the question, what newness can be born from this moment? That's where you get free will. That is one's kriyamana karma. So we have free will so long as we are being creative, so long as we are trying to do something different, something new. But we consciously let our free will go when we let ourselves be influenced by the past. And there's a time and a place for that too. And that's, in some sense, your even higher free will. There's your ordinary free will, and then there's the free will to even decide that, whether you are acting from the past or the present. And we have this higher and higher chain that goes all the way up to our pure consciousness. And I love the connection you've made, dear anxious auntie. Like Ram Dass, be here now suggests that we have free will in the now. And I love that. And that's the way I experience it also. Hello, Glint Echo. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Hello, Inder. Can I teach you meditation? Only you can teach yourself meditation. Because your mind is something for you to navigate. What's going on for you is something only you truly know from within. Now, I'm happy to share techniques that work for me, but what works for me might be very different from what works for you. Meditation is unique to each individual, and it comes in many different forms. You share you can't focus and are struggling to concentrate. I would recommend then a meditation where you practice bringing your mind onto a single object. That can be something in front of you, like a flame, Jyoti Trataka, where we light maybe a diya or a candle, and we focus on the tip of the flame. And every time we notice that our eyes wander or our thoughts wander, we just practice bringing it back. You can do this maybe in the evening. Make it part of your evening routine for however long you feel comfortable. Let's say 1 week. For the next 7 days, at night, you're going to light a diya, and for 10 minutes, you're going to practice staring at the tip of the flame. That's called Jyoti Trataka. You can use other objects too. Like, I love doing Chandra Trataka, where we stare at the moon. And maybe that would be even better tonight, because tonight is the full moon. Interestingly, in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, different objects of meditation produce different effects. And according to the tradition of the yogis, there's really specific effects that you get from specific objects of meditation. From meditating on the moon, for example, it is said that the lunar mansions, the knowledge of the lunar mansions slowly get revealed, which is the placement of the moon against the night sky. However, that's a whole other thing to get into. The point is to practice focusing. It can be as simple as a candle flame. Hello, Florisa. Madeline, you're wondering, have I seen the wonderful story of Henry Sugar on Netflix? Yeah, I watched that with my partner. She recommended it, and it's a beautiful example of exactly what we were talking about, which is Trataka, concentrating the mind. And there are potentially certain unexpected side effects that develop in your experience. There's really a whole lot more that this body and mind are capable of. These are the so-called siddhis, spiritual abilities or perfections that are attained through the practice of yogic concentration. But it is very, 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 very important that we don't aim for those spiritual abilities as the main goal on our spiritual path. The goal is to master the basics first. And the basics are living a highly ethical life, because if we develop those spiritual abilities before we develop our compassion, our kindness, our honesty, then we can develop into a person that maybe we don't truly want to be, where we take power over others. And unfortunately, there's a lot of examples in history of people that develop the power of will in such a way before they develop their compassion that they do great things but cause great harm in the process. So it's very important that when we're developing our willpower we're also simultaneously developing our heart, our compassion. We always are for good. Larissa, you ask, is there a scientific basis for that? Is there a scientific basis for developing certain knowledge or abilities through the practice of yoga? Sure. When we were talking about the process of Trataka, when we fix our gaze upon something, there's a certain psychological effect that begins to happen. And it's called samadhi. And samadhi is the dissolution of one's sense of self as separate from that object. We are the subject. Whatever we're concentrating on is the object. And in ordinary day-to-day life, we consider ourselves separate from the object that we experience. I am looking at my phone right now, and I don't consider myself to be the phone. But if I stared at the phone for long enough, I might start to forget about everything that isn't the phone, and I'll develop a sense of self in and as the phone. And of course, as soon as I snap out of that meditation, then I'm back to doing whatever I'm doing. But I begin to practice feeling like I am the phone. That's one example. In the example we gave earlier, it's a candle flame. We feel ourselves as the elemental fire, the light, the heat, the transmutation of form into energy. That is a very powerful and profound process. And to me, it's no surprise that if you spend many hours feeling like you are one with something, you develop a certain kind of intuition for something. And maybe that comes with accessing certain parts of yourself as well. Thank you, Tattvamasi, for your trio of roses. Adityaya Namaha. Virtual hugs being sent to Marcy from the Sangha. Hello, dear Stevie G. This is a great transition. You're asking, what are we doing for Guru Purnima? I'll answer your question, dear Stevie G. And dear Glint, thank you for the quintet of your awesomes. Maybe this leads into your question too. Savitri Namaha. It's about time that we wrap up today's live stream with a meditation, and so to simultaneously answer Stevie G's and Echo's question on what we're doing for Guru Purnima and meditation, we are going to be doing a meditation in honor of the full moon tonight. So in the lunar calendar, well, you don't have to have a lunar calendar to know that tonight is the full moon. And a full moon is a very beautiful thing to experience. The alignment between the moon, the earth, and the sun. There's a natural symbolism between these three. It is from the earth that we get our body. It is from the sun that we get the light. And it is from the moon we get the turning tides. So, earth represents the body, the sun represents consciousness, and the moon represents the changing mind. So there's an alignment between the mind, the body, and the consciousness tonight. We can choose to see that symbolism, if that appeals to you. And if so, tonight becomes a profound and powerful night. Oh, thank you, dear Echo, for the poetry score. It's very beautiful. Som Somaya Namaha. Generally in the lunar calendar of India, each full moon is also significant for another reason too, because holidays often are tied to the nearest full moon. So the holiday that's tied to this full moon is Guru Purnima, as we spoke a bit at the beginning of the live stream. And a guru is the spiritual teacher. And oh my goodness, speaking of the celestial sphere, thank you for the star map Polaris. It's so beautiful, dear Echo. Hrim Som Tat Shakti Nam Varenyam Somaschandrasya Dhimahi Ojo Yona Prachodayat. Oh, Sandy Beans, you are digging your nails right into a very sensitive place. Hey, who's this guy? Or girl? Hi, Sandy Beans. You want to be put down. I understand. Autonomy. Thanks for saying hi. Thank you, Echo, for the claps too. 16 of them. Om Kameshwarya Namaha. Anyway, tonight's full moon is dedicated to the Guru. But I have to confess, as I did at the beginning of this live stream, that recently in this short chapter of my life, this last few days, I've been really reflecting on what it means to look up to a spiritual teacher. And I have to confess that I've been a little disappointed in the spiritual teachers that have been in my life. Without any disrespect to any in particular, you know, I see time and time again that no human being is infallible. And a lot of the times, especially in the modern age, we're greeted, if we can use that term, with examples of spiritual teachers that maybe have used their authority and taken advantage of their students. And because that's what I've been thinking about the last couple of days, I actually wanted to dedicate this Guru Purnima not to the Guru specifically, but to everyone affected by people that maybe have been called gurus but maybe didn't deserve the title. So I wanted to dedicate this live stream to the people that have been hurt in spiritual communities. I wanted to dedicate this full moon more than the guru to the Shishya, to the student, because it is the student that really makes the teacher. And taking care of the student, taking care of the autonomy and agency of someone that opens their heart to learn from another, that is most important. So I thought for the meditation tonight, we do one round of mantra japa dedicated to the student within ourselves. May we always have boundaries. May we always protect ourselves and have sanctity of agency and autonomy, as I said. And larger than that, may we find the Guru within the process of learning itself, the Guru Tattva, that is within ourselves, that is within everything, and that is within the moon itself. I see my mom taking a picture of me through the window. That's funny. My biggest fan. I love you, Mom. I see a guru in my mom. She's taught me lots. There's a guru in everything. It doesn't have to be any specific person, but let's appreciate the student today. So the Sanskrit word for student is Shishya. Shishya. And then the mantra for the student would be Om Namah Shishyaya. Oh, that sounds fun. I like that. Om Namah Shishyaya. We'll do it as many beads as there are in this mala, which is significant for the moon. As we look at the moon tonight, we can remember this number of 108, because that's the number of moons that can fit between the earth and the moon. As I chant this, may my heart be open to all the students in this world who in their vulnerability have been affected, good or bad, by the communities they're a part of. And may we always learn from them, amplify their voices, so In each community that we're a part of, we establish healthy connection, boundaries, and systems in place to make sure everyone is protected, understood, taken care of. Om Namah Shishya. 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 Salutations to the student. Now let's hold a moment of silence. Okay. More than we empower the Guru, let us empower the student to take autonomy and agency in their learning journey. It's ultimately their own realization, their own knowledge that they experience the divine. That comes from direct experience more than what could ever be conveyed by anyone else. If we are to empower a Guru, let us empower their responsibility and accountability for the sacredness that is their role. Something that I realized last night was that if ever anyone is in a position where their words are regarded as sacred or authoritative, then they inherently must develop an equal amount of humility and discretion for being so incredibly cautious with their words and what they share. Because if anyone develops more of a voice over others, then we have to make sure that that voice is coming from a place that truly represents everyone. And obviously I say this from a perspective of someone who happens to be the host of this live stream, and so I want to honor the responsibility that comes with. Although I will always see myself as a fellow student, a contemporary, I know that I have to be mindful of how my words can affect others, and I want you all to hold me accountable to that too. And if ever I stray from my path, may there be safety nets in place to allow me to reflect and realize my mistakes. Nobody is infallible, no matter how much they've journeyed in some spiritual path, and absolutely I make mistakes, and I'm always learning from you along the way too. Really want to be clear about that. Thank you. I hope you see the full moon tonight. If you get the chance, beautiful full moon. We can reflect on all the places where we've gotten insights from and appreciated the journey of learning. It's a beautiful thing to constantly be opening our heart to new experiences that teach us, that inform us about the world and how we can be better versions of ourselves and be in service to the whole. Great to breathe, Yusha. Right now, you're looking right at it. It's beautiful. Great, right in front of your favorite tree. I love that. I forget sometimes that people are in different time zones where it's already perhaps the middle of the night. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that moment with us. The buck moon. That's right. And thank you, Kung Fui, for the "you're awesome." That's very sweet. Purnimaya namaha. Thank you, Mitchell, for another rose. No gift is ever expected nor necessary, though deeply appreciated, especially in this phase of my life where I'm trying to find a way to balance doing this as freely from my heart, voluntarily, and also being able to support myself and my loved ones. So deeply appreciated beyond any expectations. Thank you. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for the heart me you sent to. Aham Bhagamarinhyai Namaha. All right. I'm just going to end with a couple announcements, and then I shall end the live stream. This live will be uploaded to my Yam Shakta Lives YouTube channel. So you can find that by looking up Yam Shakta, just like my name, space lives on YouTube. And you'll find this live stream and every other live stream. So if there's any part that you'd appreciate being able to go back on, I offer that to you. You can find that also linked in my website, which is shakta.ca. shakta.ca. And I've even created a new session or a section where you can go through the lives without even going to the YouTube. It's like a little embedded part of the website now. You just scroll down. Also on that website is everything else we do. Like if you want to join the Telegram group, if you want to continue the conversation on any of these things and introduce yourself and communicate amongst each other or reach out to me, then I offer that space up for you there. That's where I posted, for example, that I'd be live from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time today, for instance. And all the other announcements beforehand are posted there. And in general, if you want to know what I'm up to, I go by a lunar calendar now. And so far, it's great. I love the lunar calendar. Instead of a 7-day work week, I'm going by the phase of the moon. And that's how you could know that I was live today, because I always go live on the days of the full moon too. So we had 3 days in a row of live streaming. You could have known that in advance by going to the lunar calendar at shakta.ca/calendar. Tomorrow will be Pratipada, which is the first day in the waning cycle of the moon. It's dedicated to Agni, it's dedicated to fire of new beginnings, and that's the day that I'll focus on making short videos for TikTok or Instagram. So that's what I'll be up to. I think that's all my announcements. Oh, also, part of my lunar calendar is when I do days for one-on-one sessions. So if that interests you, and in the spirit of making sure that we have safe systems in place for our community, you're welcome to request that my partner, who is a woman, is there too, if that makes you feel more comfortable. Or you can invite a friend too. It doesn't exactly have to literally be one-on-one. And it's digital, of course, so it's not in person. And it's for whatever amount of time and money that you want, because I always want to adapt to whatever place that you are. Whether that's just holding space for you, being empathetic, sharing whatever I can, or maybe going deeper into any of the topics that we explored in these live streams that interest you. Or I can do a guided meditation. I just want to offer my time for you in that way. I love that, Don Suela Priya. Lunar cycles are so regulating to live by, yeah. Our bodies are very cyclical in nature. Hi, Shadow Bear. What are you eating? Probably not something you should. Just munching on something in the grass. You want to say hi? Or rather, would you like to say bye to the internet people? That's a good look. How you feeling today? That's a mood. Om Asato Ma Sat Gamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Mritang Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead what has yet to find reality into reality. Lead darkness unto light. Lead what has yet to find eternity to eternity. Om. Let there be peace in us. Let there be peace in our environment. And let there be peace in the forces that act on us. If there's anything I can do to make this space more inclusive, let me know. Namo Vaha. Salutations to you all. Much love.